Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Today I'm going to be talking about the episode The Honeymoon from Season 2, when John and Olivia try to have their long delayed honeymoon. If you're enjoying these, please do hit like and subscribe. If you want to know when I'm going to post my next video, hit that notification bell. At the beginning of the episode, all of the children have various different things they're supposed to be doing but are neglecting, leaving Olivia to have to pick up all of that extra work. I'm supposed to be mopping the floor, but instead I am working on a plant experiment, crossing one kind of plant with another. And then when Olivia goes outside, she finds several of the children playing marbles while Chance has gotten out of the barn and is in the flower bed eating the flowers. Then the wood box isn't filled, and then they keep passing along. Well, I told him to do it. Well, I told him to do it. And Mama replies with, well, and who did she tell? Reckless? And then all of a sudden Reckless is in the house and he's running around and he's getting mud all over the floor that she just mopped. And then we get to one of my favorite scenes where Mama stages a sit-down strike. And we're all very baffled about why and what's going on. And John comes in and starts asking her about it. She finally explains all about how frustrated she is with all of this. And John, in a really cute moment, gathers us all together and says, we're ready to negotiate, mediate. One of my favorites. Understanding Olivia's frustration with all of this and how overworked she is, how she never gets a day off, John suggests that she needs a honeymoon. She thinks this is ridiculous and that they can't possibly afford it. But John has other ideas. In this scene, you see John Boy coming theoretically upstairs from the ground level. In fact, all of our interior sets were inside a soundstage. Therefore, this actual upper level where all of the bedrooms were was actually on the exact same level as where the living room and kitchen sets were. So this spot here where there are stairs that you can see him coming up was actually, from what I understand, dug out of the floor of the soundstage. And at the base of those stairs, when you got down there and around the corner, was just a little square of dirt. John Boy finds that Mama has pulled out her wedding dress and her original going away dress that she never got to wear, that outfit with its hat and everything, just reminiscing about that day many years ago, 19 years ago, as they say, when they actually did get married and she didn't get to have that honeymoon. There's a really sweet picture here of her with her going away dress and her hat, which she says is horribly out of date now. The back porch area, this was what was supposed to be just inside the house when we entered from outside, from the barn area and stuff like that. It's a different configuration than what was there actually on the back lot set, where there wasn't much of anything, just sort of a holding space there that then went around the corner into where our makeup room and hair room was when we were working on the back lot. So this particular set that we are in here was not used very often for scenes, but in this case I'm there working on my plant experiment. This was on the soundstage and was connected to where the kitchen set was. And just outside this, when you went into the actual soundstage, was very close to where my original actual dressing room was, as were, I think, the other two girls. I think the three girls had their dressing rooms on this side of the soundstage. John's idea is that they will use their sort of nest egg emergency money for this honeymoon, which doesn't sit well with Mama, because she doesn't think this is an emergency, but John does. Then all kinds of obstacles get in the way. It turns out that Grandma is supposed to be away for that weekend with the church choir, helping Reverend Fordwick with the children. And then the saw dies, the motor on the saw or the belt or something. And in order to get it working again, they're going to have to take it into town, and it's going to cost who knows how much, but more than they have to fix that. So they are faced once again with obstacles. The children all get together and try to pool their money to help with the sort of honeymoon fund. And Grandpa comes in and offers up an old 2-cent coin. But it's not just any 2-cent coin. He's had this for quite some time, and it's actually worth about $20. He takes it to Ike Godsey, who he has said always wanted this coin, and drives a hard bargain with Ike to get the $20 for this coin. And the family collectively presents this money to John and Olivia for their honeymoon. They object, and we stage our own sit-down strike, all the family, including Grandma and Grandpa, until they agree to go. And then to celebrate, John gets up and starts dancing. The Peabody, evidently, was the dance that was all the rage at the time that they were married. And he says that they are going to go and they are going to dance the Peabody. One of the subplots in this episode features once again the ongoing tumultuous relationship between John Boy and Marcia Woolery. She is really pushing John Boy to make some sort of a commitment to her. Predominantly what she wants at that moment is for them to exchange class rings. And she feels that because John Boy's going to be going away to college, she's going to get left behind, and she wants a commitment. John Boy's not ready to do that. John and Olivia are finally ready to take off on their honeymoon. John picks up Olivia to carry her over the threshold, but outside the house as opposed to inside the house. He figures he'll start a new tradition. They head outside to where the kids have decorated the truck with tin cans, and we throw rice as they get into the truck, and off they go. Well, immediately things start to take another turn as they find out that Reckless has chased a skunk into the house. So next thing you know, we're all sleeping in the barn because the house is completely opened up to try to eliminate the stench of skunk odor in the house. The happy couple runs into their own issues when the truck breaks down because of an issue with the fan belt. It can't be fixed till the morning when they'll have to get into town to get a new one. They decide that they will camp in the back of the truck. They're all snuggled up with a lantern, and John mentions under the stars. Olivia looks up and says, "I can't see any stars." Next thing you know, there is a crack of lightning and it starts to pour with rain. They quickly get out of the back of the truck and go into the cab. After their night sleeping in the barn, next thing you know, Aaron's running a fever, Elizabeth has a cough and a sneeze, and there are concerns about who's sick from that night out. I love how John Boy checks Aaron's forehead for fever against his own, noticing that hers is hotter, and then Jason checks his and reaches over to check Ben's. Aaron and Elizabeth are difficult patients, and here you have a little bit of foreshadowing of Mary Ellen's future occupation as a nurse as she brings Aaron hot tea and Elizabeth cold water, and then they want it's too light, so they pull down the blind, and then Aaron says, "I can't read," and so he wants the blinds up, and it's up and down. And anyway, I stage my own lie down strike on the bed until the two of them decide what they're going to do. So I had not yet developed the best bedside manner. Finally, after the delays, John and Olivia do make it to their hotel suite at Virginia Beach. It's a lovely suite, and they're both very excited to be there. And John shows off everything about the suite and the extra rooms. And then there's a lovely view from the window. And as they stand and look out, I found myself thinking, they weren't really in a room with a view. So that is likely a screen, a painted screen that they are looking at where you see all the blue. And what they do then is on the patio that is meant to be right outside their room, they put actual greens, whether it's trees or bushes or whatever, so that what's in the foreground looks real and disguises the rest of the view, which is not real. However, the beach is very real. This would have been shot most likely again at Paradise Cove in Malibu, California, as John and Olivia walk along the beach hand in hand, and Olivia decides to build a sandcastle, something she's always wanted to do. And then John teases her, and she looks up, and he sneaks in for a kiss. Just a lovely example of the on-screen chemistry between Michael and Ralph that was also in evidence off-camera, although from everything I've heard, and Michael's talked about it, they never acted upon that chemistry. but there was always a real love between them. In the ongoing saga of John Boy and Marcia Woolery, John Boy finds himself following Marcia up onto the hill. I wondered where they shot this because it didn't really make sense that they would have gone out for a day on location just to shoot this scene, which led me to think that perhaps they shot it on the mountains across from the beach at Malibu, where they would have filmed that they could have done this on the same day. Not positive, but my best guess. So while he's up there following her, because you never really see where they are looking off to, and then Marcia is still going on about this ring. She takes John Boy's off, and then she has it, and he's trying to get it back, and she's messing around, and she tosses it up, and he goes to grab it, and he reaches for it and falls, and he rolls down a hill. This would have been a stunt person, I'm pretty positive. And then he's down there with a dislocated shoulder and sending Marcia off to get help. Olivia has heard that there are fires somewhere near Walton's mountain. She's very concerned. Finally tells John that she wants to call home just to check in. So she calls Ike's store because that's where the phone is. And Ike just tattles like crazy about what's going on. That John Boy's fine, that Doc Vance fixed his shoulder, and that the girls are doing okay. So Olivia's very concerned because John Boy's gotten hurt and the kids are sick, and she can't just relax and continue on a honeymoon knowing that there's trouble at home. So they pack up and they drive home. I think it's very sweet that Olivia doesn't know how to use a phone. Makes sense. I mean, she may have used one at Ike's store at some point, but this is a little different and she isn't quite sure how to use it. And we so take for granted all of the technology that we have in our lives these days. So it was a nice little throwback to before all of that was part of our lives. Mary Ellen's having some fun at John Boy's expense about his dislocated shoulder. He's not seriously hurt, but she's teasing him about how Marcia pushed him, or, as we're out and about again, that he should be careful about standing near any cliffs near Marcia. So just some fun at his expense. It's early morning when John and Olivia make it back home and find out that all of the family is indeed fine. John Boy's not seriously injured. The girls are all well on the mend. But their honeymoon was cut short. So instead of thinking that they'll go back to Virginia Beach on their own, they pack up all the kids. Grandma's back, Grandpa's back. They're going to stay home, but John and Olivia are going to take all the kids with them and go on some sort of a honeymoon with the family. That's what I have for you for this segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons about the episode The Honeymoon. I'll be back with more Behind the Scenes of the Waltons and more Ask Judy. Thanks for watching.